Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a time in your life when you have to stop and ask yourself one simple question: what about me? In a world where everyone is running in different directions, pleasing others, fulfilling expectations, trying to fit in, when was the last time you thought about yourself? We are taught from a young age to be kind, to be generous, to think of others first. And yes, that is beautiful. But in this journey of selflessness, we are silently taught to ignore our own needs, our dreams, our emotions. And one day, we wake up feeling empty, not because we gave too much, but because we gave everything and saved nothing for ourselves. Thinking about yourself is not selfish, it's necessary, it's survival, it's strength. Let me tell you something I've learned in my journey. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot give love if you don't love yourself. You cannot inspire others if you have lost your own fire. You cannot heal the world if you are broken inside. So think about yourself, always. Think about your peace, your happiness, your mental health. Your dreams. The world may label you selfish, arrogant, or too ambitious. But don't let those voices silence your soul, because only you know the battles you fought. Only you know the nights you cried, the strength it took to get out of bed, the courage it took to smile while your heart was breaking. People will come and go, applause will fade, expectations will keep changing, but the only person who will stay with you from your first breath to your last is you. So be your own friend, your own cheerleader, your own safe space. Do not wait for someone else to make you feel worthy. Validate yourself. Do not look for someone to complete you. You are whole. The truth is, you matter, not because of what you do for others, but because of who you are. You are enough. You are worthy. You are deserving of all the love, peace, and purpose in this world. And it all starts when you stop apologizing for prioritizing yourself. In life, we are often conditioned to put others before ourselves. From a young age, we're taught that kindness means self-sacrifice, that love means giving without limits, and that success often comes from pleasing everyone around us. But somewhere in the midst of fulfilling everyone else's expectations, we begin to forget who we are. We forget what makes our soul come alive. We start to ignore the quiet voice within that whispers, "What about me?" It is not selfish to think about yourself. It is not wrong to pause and evaluate your own needs, your own desires, and your own peace. In fact, it is one of the most courageous things you can do. To put yourself first does not mean you care less about others. It simply means you are wise enough to know that you cannot give your best to the world if you are constantly depleted, broken, or running on empty. You are a human being with emotions, dreams, boundaries, and a unique purpose. You have every right to honor those aspects of yourself. When you neglect your own heart in the name of being a good person, you build quiet resentment. You smile on the outside, but you suffer inside. And eventually, that suffering begins to affect everything: your relationships, your health, your creativity, and your joy. Taking care of yourself is not a luxury. It is your responsibility. When you set boundaries, it is not rejection, it is protection. When you say no, it does not mean you are cold, it means you are clear. When you choose rest over hustle, it is not laziness, it is self-awareness. Every act of self-care, no matter how small, is a declaration that you value yourself, and the world responds to that. People start to treat you differently when they see how you treat yourself. There is nothing noble about constantly putting yourself last. Being a martyr in your own life only leads to bitterness and burnout. You were not born to be a background character in everyone else's story. You are here to live fully, to grow freely, and to shine unapologetically. And you can only do that when you begin to take your own needs seriously. It's important to understand that prioritizing yourself doesn't mean you stop caring for others. It doesn't mean you isolate or become indifferent. It means you love yourself enough to know what fills you up and what drains you. It means you're willing to walk away from things that no longer align with your values. It means you're ready to take ownership of your happiness instead of waiting for others to deliver it. There will be moments when people won't understand. They might say you've changed. They might label you as selfish or distant, but let them misunderstand. Because your life is not about meeting their expectations, it's about rising to your own potential. It's about living with integrity, where your inner world matches your outer actions, and that kind of life requires choosing yourself, even when it's uncomfortable. The truth is, the more you honor yourself, the more powerful you become. You begin to attract better relationships, more meaningful opportunities, and a deeper sense of peace. You stop chasing approval and start standing in your truth, and that truth is this: you matter, your well-being matters, your dreams matter, your voice matters. When you begin to prioritize yourself, you stop settling for crumbs. You stop begging for love and start becoming love. You stop hiding your light and start walking boldly in it. Life becomes less about survival and more about creation. You become the artist of your own destiny, not just a participant in someone else's vision. So give yourself permission to rest, to heal, to grow, to speak, to walk away, to start over, to be your own hero. You don't owe anyone an explanation for taking care of your own soul. And you certainly don't need validation for putting yourself first. Remember, you cannot fully love others from a place of emptiness. But when you are full of clarity, strength, and self-respect, the love you give becomes purer, deeper, and more sustainable. The more you care for yourself, the more authentic you become. And in that authenticity, you become a light not just for yourself, but for everyone around you. Choosing yourself is not selfish. It is survival, it is wisdom, it is power, and it's the first step toward living the life you truly deserve. There is a profound truth that often goes unnoticed in the chaos of daily life. You cannot pour from an empty cup. It sounds simple, even obvious, yet so many people move through the world giving, serving, sacrificing, without ever stopping to refill themselves. They smile while exhausted, help while hurting, and love while feeling unloved. This kind of self-neglect is subtle, but it slowly drains your energy, passion, and joy until there's nothing left to give, not to others and not even to yourself. When you're constantly pouring yourself into everyone else's needs, obligations, and expectations, there comes a point when you are left feeling hollow. Your body feels tired, your mind feels cluttered, and your heart feels heavy. And even though you keep going, something inside you begins to crack. Giving without receiving, helping without healing, listening without being heard. These are silent forms of burnout that eat away at your spirit. Caring for others is beautiful, but it cannot come at the cost of abandoning yourself. Just as you cannot run a car without fuel, you cannot function at your best when you are emotionally and mentally depleted. Your kindness becomes forced, your patience becomes thin, your motivation becomes hard to find, and the tragedy is, the world continues to demand more, unaware that you are barely holding yourself together. So many people feel guilty for taking time for themselves. They believe rest must be earned, that saying no is wrong, that prioritizing their own peace makes them selfish. But the truth is, self-care is not a reward, it's a necessity. It's the foundation upon which everything else is built. When you are well, everything around you flows better. Your relationships become richer. Your work becomes more inspired. Your energy becomes magnetic. There is nothing noble about running yourself into the ground for the sake of others. There is nothing brave about pretending to be okay when you are not. Real strength lies in recognizing when you need to pause, when you need to breathe, when you need to take a step back and ask, "What do I need right now?" That simple question can save you. It can guide you back to yourself before you fall too far. The world is not going to slow down. Responsibilities will always exist. People will always ask for more. That's why you must become the guardian of your own energy. You must protect your peace like it's sacred, because it is. Recharging is not a sign of weakness. It's how you build resilience. Resting is not laziness. It's preparation for the next challenge. Saying no is not rejection. It's a form of self-respect. Imagine giving from a place of fullness instead of emptiness. Imagine helping others not because you feel obligated, but because you are so full of joy, compassion, and strength that it naturally overflows. That is the kind of giving that transforms lives. That is the kind of support that uplifts instead of depletes. There is a difference between being selfless and being sacrificing. One comes from a place of love, the other from a place of fear or pressure. You do not have to lose yourself in order to be a good person. In fact, the more connected you are to your own well-being, the more genuinely you can connect with others. You become a lighthouse, steady, strong, and shining not because you're forcing it, but because you've taken the time to build your own foundation. Sometimes, filling your own cup means disconnecting for a while, turning off the noise, saying no to things that drain you, spending time in silence, nourishing your body, journaling your thoughts, walking in nature, doing absolutely nothing. Whatever it looks like for you, give yourself permission to do it, without guilt, without apology. It's not your job to carry everything. It's not your role to fix everyone. You were never meant to hold the weight of the world on your shoulders. But you are meant to be whole, grounded, and alive. You are meant to thrive, not just survive. And that can only happen when you stop giving away pieces of yourself without taking the time to restore your soul. You matter just as much as the people you care for. Your needs, your rest, your happiness, they are important. And when you take care of yourself, you become more capable of taking care of others. So fill your cup first. Not just once, but often. Make it a habit, make it a priority, and from that place of fullness go out and give. Not because you have to, but because you truly want to. In a world that often glorifies being busy, constantly connected, and endlessly productive, it's easy to overlook one of the most vital aspects of life, your peace and mental health. While success, achievement, and service to others are often praised, the silent struggle within goes unnoticed. But no accomplishment is worth it if it costs you your inner calm. No goal is truly fulfilling if it drains your spirit. And no relationship is healthy if it consistently disturbs your mental well-being. Peace isn't something you find in a faraway place. It's something you create within. It is built through boundaries, nurtured through self-awareness, and preserved through courage. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't feel right, you chip away at your peace. Every time you silence your needs to avoid discomfort, you teach your mind that your feelings don't matter, but they do. Your emotions are valid. Your thoughts are powerful. Your mind is your home, and it deserves to be treated with love, care, and respect. Mental health isn't just the absence of illness, it's the presence of clarity, balance, and emotional resilience. It's the ability to sit with your thoughts without feeling overwhelmed. It's the strength to ask for help without shame. And it's the quiet confidence to walk away from anything that disturbs your sense of self. Taking care of your mental health means checking in with yourself regularly, asking, how am I doing asterisk really asterisk? It means being honest about your stress, your sadness, your anxiety, and your fears. Pretending everything is fine when it's not only leads to deeper wounds. The pressure to hold it all together, to be strong for everyone else, often leads people to neglect their own struggles. But you cannot heal what you refuse to acknowledge. You are allowed to not be okay. You are allowed to take a break. You are allowed to step back, to breathe, to cry, and to start again. These are not signs of weakness. They are signs of being human, and in that humanity there is profound strength. Preserving your peace sometimes means making difficult decisions. It might mean walking away from toxic relationships, even when they're familiar. It might mean turning down opportunities that pay well but drain your soul. It might mean choosing solitude over social approval, rest over relentless hustle, or saying no when everyone expects you to say yes. These choices aren't always easy, but they are necessary, because nothing is worth sacrificing your mental well-being for. It's important to understand that you don't need a breakdown to justify a break. You don't need to hit rock bottom before you start climbing toward the light. Prevention is as powerful as cure. When you feel overwhelmed, don't wait until everything falls apart. Listen to the early signs, pay attention to the quiet whispers of fatigue, irritability, or emotional numbness. These are your mind's way of asking for rest, reflection, and realignment. You deserve to live a life that feels good on the inside, not just one that looks good on the outside. It's easy to put on a brave face, to keep up appearances, to keep chasing goals, but true fulfillment comes from within. When your mind is calm, your decisions are wiser. When your heart is at peace, your relationships deepen. When you take care of your inner world, your outer world naturally begins to shift. There is no shame in therapy. There is no weakness in needing support. Mental health is just as important as physical health. You wouldn't ignore a broken bone. Why ignore a broken spirit? Reaching out, whether to a professional, a friend, or simply to yourself through journaling or meditation, is an act of bravery. It says, I matter, my well-being matters. Give yourself the grace to heal. Speak to yourself with compassion. Stop measuring your worth by your productivity. Rest is not a reward, it is a right. Peace is not a privilege, it is a priority, and your mental health is not an afterthought. It is the foundation of everything you hope to build. Life will always have noise, but you have the power to choose what you allow into your mind. Choose stillness over chaos, clarity over confusion, and wellness over weariness. Protect your peace like it's sacred, because it is. Take care of your mind like it's precious, because it is. And above all, remember, you don't need anyone's permission to put yourself first. Your peace and mental health are not optional, they are everything. In a world that constantly tries to convince you that you're not enough, it takes strength to believe that you already are. From the moment you're born, society starts to assign value based on how much you achieve, how you look, how many people approve of you, or how closely you follow the script. Slowly, that external noise begins to shape your self-worth, convincing you that you must strive to become something more in order to matter. But the truth is, you don't need to become anything else to be worthy. You are enough just as you are. You are not incomplete. You are not broken. You are not a mistake that needs fixing. You may be a work in progress, but that progress does not take away from your worth in this moment. Growth and self-improvement are beautiful, but they should not stem from the belief that you are inadequate. They should come from love, not shame, from expansion, not lack. Every scar, every flaw, every quirk, every mistake. They are all part of the intricate story that makes you unique. You don't need to erase parts of yourself to be accepted. You don't have to hide your emotions, dull your brilliance, or shrink yourself to fit into places that were never meant for you. The more you try to be what others want you to be, the further you move away from your truth. You are enough when you are smiling and when you're struggling. You are enough when you're making progress and even when you're standing still. You are enough when you're confident and when you're full of doubt. Worth is not something you earn. It is something you carry. It's already inside you. You don't need permission to embrace it. There will always be people who make you feel like you're too much or not enough. Too loud, too quiet, too emotional, too ambitious, too sensitive, too plain, too different. But those opinions are not facts. They are reflections of someone else's perspective, not a definition of your identity. You were not made to please everyone. You were made to be real, and real isn't always perfect. Real is raw. Real is honest. Real is human. If you spend your life chasing perfection, you will always feel behind. There will always be another goal to meet, another standard to match, another comparison to outgrow. But if you learn to anchor yourself in self-acceptance, you'll find a peace that no one can take away. When you start living as if you are already enough, your entire energy changes. You stop proving and start being asterisk. You stop performing and start living asterisk. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to always be strong. You don't need to meet every expectation placed on you. All you need is to show up for yourself with honesty and compassion. Speak kindly to yourself. Treat yourself the way you would treat someone you deeply love. Let that voice in your head be a source of encouragement, not criticism. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are exactly where you're meant to be. Life unfolds at its own pace, and so do you. Trust your process, honor your pace, respect your journey. Stop waiting for a future version of yourself to finally be worthy of love, happiness, or success. That version already exists inside you. Self-acceptance is not giving up on becoming better. It's choosing to love yourself now while you grow. It's looking in the mirror and saying, I am not perfect, but I am still worthy. It's learning to rest instead of constantly hustle for validation. It's understanding that being enough doesn't mean you have no room to improve. It means you don't need to improve in order to be valuable. No one else can define what makes you enough. That definition lives within you. And the more you embrace it, the more empowered you become. Confidence doesn't come from changing yourself to fit in. It comes from accepting yourself and standing out. You don't need to be more to be loved. You don't need to achieve more to be valuable. You don't need to look different, act different, or live differently to finally deserve peace. You are already worthy, already whole, already enough. So breathe. Let go of the pressure to constantly prove yourself. Take off the mask, release the fear, and stand tall in your truth, because who you are as you are in this very moment asterisk is enough asterisk. Seeking approval is a habit that many people develop without even realizing it. From childhood, we are rewarded for good behavior, praised for achievements, and validated by how others perceive us. Slowly, our self-worth begins to hinge on the reactions and opinions of people around us. We learn to shape our behavior, words, even our dreams, in ways that gain acceptance. But over time, that reliance on external validation can become a prison, a quiet, invisible cage that keeps you from living freely, fully, and authentically. The truth is, no amount of applause can fill the void created by self-doubt. No compliment will ever be enough if you don't believe in your own value. When your worth is tied to how others see you, your sense of self becomes fragile. One criticism can break you. One rejection can shatter your confidence. One moment of being overlooked can make you question everything about yourself. That's the danger of living for approval. It makes your self-esteem conditional. Validation from others might feel good, but it's fleeting. It comes and goes based on mood, timing, and circumstances. You can be celebrated today and forgotten tomorrow. You can be liked by one person and disliked by another for the exact same reason. Chasing validation is like trying to hold water in your hands. It slips through your fingers no matter how tightly you grasp. Real strength comes from learning to validate yourself. It means knowing who you are without needing confirmation. It means looking in the mirror and saying, I am enough, even when no one else says it. It means trusting your instincts, even when others doubt them. It means owning your truth, your choices, your voice, without waiting for a round of applause. Self-validation is not arrogance. It's not about thinking you're better than anyone else. It's about acknowledging your own experience, your own feelings, your own journey. It's about giving yourself permission to feel proud, to feel joy, to feel confident, even if no one else notices. When you validate yourself, you take your power back. You stop handing it to people who may never truly understand you. The opinions of others can be helpful, but they should never be your compass. You don't need a crowd to tell you what direction to go. You don't need permission to pursue your passion. You don't need constant reassurance to believe in your dreams. If you're always waiting for someone to say you're doing great, you'll constantly second-guess your path. But when you start saying that to yourself, everything changes. You build resilience, you build clarity, you build inner peace. You will never be able to please everyone, and you're not meant to. People view the world through their own lens of experiences, beliefs, and biases. Their judgment says more about them than it does about you. If you spend your life trying to win approval from everyone, you will lose yourself in the process. You'll water down your personality, mute your voice, and abandon your truth. And for what? A moment of acceptance that might disappear tomorrow. You are not here to fit into someone else's mold. You are here to be real, bold, and whole. And that starts with recognizing your own worth without waiting for someone else to recognize it first. Start listening to your inner voice more than the noise around you. Start honoring your own progress, even if it's invisible to others. Celebrate your quiet wins. Stand by your decisions. Feel your emotions without apologizing for them. Give yourself the kind of encouragement you so often seek from others. Be the one who claps when you accomplish something. Be the one who reassures you when you feel anxious. Be the one who tells you that you are doing enough, that you are growing, that you are learning, even when the journey feels slow. That kind of support from within is what creates unshakable confidence. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You don't need likes, follows, praise, or permission. You just need to trust yourself, to respect yourself, to believe in your own worth, even in the silence. Especially in the silence, validation is powerful, but the most powerful kind is the one you give yourself. When you learn to see your own value, you become unstoppable, not because others finally recognize your light, but because you never needed them to. Life has a way of testing your strength, often in silence and solitude. There will be moments when no one truly understands what you're going through, when the world feels too loud, and the support you crave simply isn't there. In those moments, the most powerful thing you can do is become your own support system. Relying on others is natural, but learning to rely on yourself is essential. It's not about shutting people out. It's about building the kind of inner resilience that doesn't collapse when external support falls short. You are with yourself in every single moment, through joy, heartbreak, success, and struggle. No one else sees your entire journey. No one else hears your private battles or feels the full weight of your fears. That's why being your own anchor matters so much. It means showing up for yourself when things fall apart. It means being your own voice of encouragement when doubt creeps in. It means refusing to abandon yourself, even when it feels like the world has. Being your own support system doesn't mean you never feel weak. It doesn't mean you have all the answers or never need help. It means that even in your most uncertain moments, you have your own back. You learn to comfort yourself when you're hurting. You learn to motivate yourself when you feel unmotivated. You learn to keep going, not because someone else is pushing you, but because you've built that push from within. There's a quiet power in knowing how to lift yourself up. When you stop waiting for someone to rescue you emotionally, you begin to realize how capable you truly are. You stop giving away your power to people who come and go, and instead start investing it in yourself. You become your own cheerleader, your own therapist, your own safe space. Self-support begins with self-awareness. It's about understanding your needs, your limits, and your emotions without judgment. It's recognizing when you're tired, not lazy, when you're sad, not broken, when you need rest, not guilt. It's choosing to speak to yourself with compassion instead of criticism. Encouragement instead of pressure, patience instead of frustration. Being there for yourself also means setting boundaries that protect your peace. Not every situation deserves your energy. Not every person deserves access to your heart. When you know your worth, you stop chasing validation and start protecting your well-being. You stop overextending yourself for the sake of being liked or accepted. Instead, you learn to say no when necessary and yes to what nurtures you. Sometimes support means doing the hard thing when no one is watching, getting up early to pursue a dream, saying no to something comfortable because it's not right for you, having difficult conversations with yourself. These small acts of discipline, honesty, and self-respect build an unshakable foundation. They're not always seen, but they're deeply felt. They remind you that you can depend on yourself to follow through, even when motivation fades. And yes, there will still be times when you feel alone. That's normal, but solitude doesn't have to be lonely when you learn to enjoy your own company. Spend time with yourself, not as a last resort, but as a choice. Reflect, journal, take yourself out. Learn your likes, dislikes, values, and dreams. The more you know yourself, the easier it is to care for yourself in meaningful ways. There's a kind of peace that comes from not needing constant reassurance. A quiet confidence that grows when you realize you are enough. Not because someone told you so, but because you've proven it to yourself again and again. Through every obstacle you've faced, through every setback you've survived. Through every night you cried but still woke up and tried again. You don't have to be perfect to support yourself. You just have to be consistent. Keep showing up, keep trying, keep listening to your own needs. Keep reminding yourself that you're doing the best you can, and that's more than enough. When you become the person you can count on, life doesn't feel so overwhelming. Challenges still come, but they don't shake you the way they used to. Because now you're grounded, you're supported, you're whole, and the most beautiful thing, once you learn to be your own support system, the support from others becomes a bonus, not a lifeline. You stand stronger. You love deeper, you live freer, not because you've never been hurt, but because you've learned how to heal, with your own hands in your own time on your own terms. Respect is not something that can be demanded. It is something that is earned through the way you carry yourself, the way you treat others, and most importantly, the way you treat yourself. The world often mirrors back to you what you believe about yourself. If you walk through life doubting your worth, questioning your value, and tolerating disrespect, people tend to respond to that energy. But when you respect yourself, when you truly believe in your worth, you create a standard that others are more likely to follow. Self-respect is the foundation of how you interact with the world. It's not arrogance, and it's not about superiority. It's about knowing who you are, what you stand for, and what you will or will not accept. When you respect yourself, you don't need to prove anything to anyone. Your actions, your choices, and your presence speak for you. People are drawn to that kind of quiet confidence, not because it's loud or flashy, but because it's real and unshakable. Respecting yourself means setting boundaries and honoring them. It means saying no without guilt and yes without fear. It means refusing to allow others to cross lines that damage your peace, self-esteem, or values. When you set clear boundaries, you're not pushing people away. You're showing them how to treat you. You're saying, "This is what I expect, and this is what I give in return." That clarity commands respect, even from those who may not like it. But self-respect is more than just boundary setting. It's about how you treat yourself in your everyday life. It's in the decisions you make when no one is watching. Do you keep promises to yourself? Do you follow through on your commitments? Do you stand up for your beliefs? Do you protect your energy? These choices might seem small, but they build integrity. And integrity is the backbone of respect. When you respect yourself, you carry yourself differently. You speak with intention, you listen with presence, and you walk with purpose. People notice that. They notice how you hold your head high, how you speak about yourself, how you react to criticism, and how you bounce back from setbacks. The world doesn't respect people who constantly shrink themselves to fit in or chase approval. It respects those who are unapologetically themselves, even when it's uncomfortable. Self-respect is also tied to self-care. When you take care of your body, your mind, and your spirit, you're sending a message to the world. I matter. I am worthy of love, attention, and care. You can't expect others to treat you well if you constantly neglect yourself. The habits you maintain, the words you speak to yourself, the people you surround yourself with, these are all reflections of how much you respect yourself. Respecting yourself doesn't mean you never make mistakes. It means you take responsibility, learn, and grow. It means you don't let failure define you. You give yourself grace while still holding yourself accountable. That balance of compassion and discipline is what strengthens your self-image, and a strong self-image naturally attracts respect from others. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. If you accept disrespect, silence becomes permission. But when you assert yourself, not with anger, but with calm clarity, you teach others that your dignity is not up for debate. That doesn't mean everyone will treat you with respect, but it does mean you'll be strong enough to walk away from those who don't. And that strength is what the world notices. You also begin to recognize respect in others more clearly. When you value yourself, you stop settling for half-hearted relationships, jobs that drain your soul, or environments that don't nurture your growth. You seek out spaces and people that uplift you, not because you're desperate for approval, but because you've learned that respect starts with you. When you respect yourself, life begins to align. Opportunities flow more naturally because you exude confidence and stability. Relationships become healthier because you're not constantly doubting your worth. Challenges feel less overwhelming because you've built an internal support system rooted in self-worth. In the end, self-respect is a quiet power. It doesn't need validation. It doesn't chase attention. It simply is asterisk, and the world feels that energy. It responds to that strength. It leans in and listens, because the world respects those who have already decided to respect themselves, without waiting for anyone else to do it first.